How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist? Now, some people might think of this as a joke, but this is actually a very serious question.
The truth is, you'll always point your finger at black people because that's what you do. That's what white supremacists do. And you, sir, are a diehard white supremacist.
So I just watched the show Them on Amazon Prime. Very traumatizing and triggering show. I literally cried for 2 hours after the Cat in the Bag episode. I'm still fucked up about that shit. A show that all YT people should watch, since they like to pretend that, racism doesn't exist and things just happened so long ago, even though they're happening right now. And it just made me think about how, you have people getting lip injections and tanning their skin to the point they look like alligators, and they have leather skin and they look like a freaking belt. Even though, when you have a lack of melanin, every time you tan your skin in UV rays, you're causing yourself skin cancer because you don't have melanin. And how they go and get these perms and they're blackfishing, and how all of our culture, clothing, music, food, if you even go on social media, everything is revolved around black culture. And then you take it even further back to Europe, when the Europeans didn't wash their ass. They were eating rats. They didn't even know how to grow any food. Like, they didn't know how to do shit. Also, us cave dwellers would not even exist if it wasn't for black people, because they were the first people on Earth. Like, YT people wouldn't even be here right now if it wasn't for black people. Because of the bubonic plague, because they didn't know how to feed themselves, they didn't know how to wash themselves, they were living in caves. Like, black people literally taught them agriculture, literally taught them how to bathe, literally taught them how to fucking survive, taught them everything. And again, we wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for black people. Like, our great granddaddies and grandmamas once upon a time were black because they were the original human. So we come from black people. They created us. They're dominant, so we obviously wouldn't be genetically superior. Obviously, when even rock and roll and Elvis, and we found out Beethoven was black, but all of the music has been stolen from black people, all of the art, all of the inventions. They're strong, they're athletic. That's why, these YT team owners love to exploit black athletes and make their money. And young talent, the dancing, obviously, the music, the talent, the dancing, the strength. Back in the day, they didn't know where to find water or how to grow food, so they exploited black people's greatness.
There's one comment of somebody saying that I'm mad because white people own black people. First of all, I'm gonna keep it a beam with you, bro. Black people didn't need white people. White people needed black people. Let's be honest. You guys traveled 6,000 miles to go get black people out of Africa. It didn't happen the other way around. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, white people tried to enslave white people that didn't.
What if I told you that if black Americans disappeared from history, America as we know it wouldn't exist? No, seriously. Imagine turning on the radio and there's no jazz, no blues, no hip-hop, no R&B, no rock and roll in the form we know today. Imagine the NBA, the NFL, and the Olympics looking completely different. Imagine American slang, fashion, dance, and even some of the biggest social movements simply gone. Now, before anyone runs to the comments saying, "Here we go again," hear me out. Today we're reacting to a video asking one uncomfortable question. What would America actually look like if black Americans had never been part of its story? The video argues that black Americans didn't just contribute to America. They helped shape its economy, its culture, its politics, and even its global influence. Some of the claims in this video are backed by well-known historical events. Others are much more controversial and opinionated. So, today we're separating history from opinion while asking a question that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Let's get into it.
That white people in the United States, or anywhere we are, in Europe, in Africa, in Australia, in Israel, wherever we are the colonizers. We are the colonizers, and we live off the expense of the assault, Europe's assault on Africa, the kidnapping of African human beings, the trafficking, all of these things that we hear today. This is where it came from.
That white people need us to survive.
Hell yeah, without melanin, they can't survive. Matter of fact, if you look at the statistics, white people are dying right now. They are dying more than they're repopulating. And that's why so many black people are coming up missing. Notice they're getting all of these different type of melanin shots inside of them. They're trying to deal with the sun more. Right now, with all of these heat rays and how the sun is heating up and all of the ultraviolet infrared rays is coming from the sun, man, white people are dying globally from skin cancer. The sun is beating they ass. I mean, literally especially in Israel. Look up the sun cancer epidemic in Israel. Man, the sun is whooping they ass.
Didn't know that.
But they need melanin. For the sun can charge them and make them supernatural like it does us. We are supernatural people. We are an eternal people. We really is.
We the reason America. Not just with the Civil War, brother. Let's go before the Civil War. Let's go to the Louisiana Purchase. Do you know that this country is 3 times the size it was? Because the Haitian Revolution went to Saint-Louis Overture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines and Christophe and Pétion and Cécile Fatiman and Boukman and Macandal, when they destroyed Napoleon's army, a slave army defeated the greatest general the white man ever had. An army of slaves defeated the greatest general the white man ever had. And because the Haitian Revolution bankrupted Napoleon, he sold his American territories to America for pennies on the dollar.
I remember that.
The Louisiana Purchase loan
Yes.
quadrupled the size of the United States of America. So when I tell you America wouldn't be America without black people, America wouldn't be America without black people.
That's a fact.
They were like, damn, we can't stay outside in the sun for hours and hours doing this shit because we'll literally die. Like, we need them to survive, is what white people said. You know how you have a parasite, and every parasite needs a host? White people have been the parasite, and black people have been the host. The same way males created sexism to basically exploit the greatness of women. Because we can all go to a sperm bank and get sperm. There's tons of sperm. There's endless amounts of sperm. We don't need males to reproduce. We just need the sperm. And we got it. So, you know? But even if you take an egg from another woman, you still gotta put it inside of a woman to reproduce. You still need a human body of a woman. Biological woman. You still need the womb and uterus of a human being that was born female. Where we can just go to a sperm bank and get some sperm. You really need a woman to reproduce. We don't need you to reproduce at this point. So, clear people, YT people, realized they need black people to survive. And instead of oppressing and exploiting black people, when all black people did was be nice to them, more than they fucking should have since, based on what we see now, you should have let them motherfuckers eat rats. I don't even care. You should have let my ancestors eat rats and shit on themselves and not wipe. You should not have helped them. I swear you should not have, because look at the ungratefulness. Then you have the audacity to try to turn people into slaves and exploit them and use them when they were literally trying to fucking help you. They were trying to help you. And this is what the fuck you do to them? And it's the same with women. Racism was created to exploit black people and native people. And sexism was created to exploit women. Like, this goes to show you can't do nothing for no one, bro. You give an inch and motherfuckers take a mile. YT people know that they're nothing without black people.
Let me break something down for you, right? America is not just a country. It's a machine, every piece of it. The government, the corporations, the banks, the military, the schools, they're all gears working together to keep this engine running. But here's the truth that they don't want you to realize. This machine does not run without us. Black people have been the engine oil of America since 1619. We built the infrastructure, we picked the cotton that funded Wall Street, and created the culture that powers the world. We are the rhythm, the labor, the innovation, the humanity that keeps this whole thing from rusting apart. And now under Project 2025, that same machine is being redesigned, not to include us, but to use us quietly while pretending we don't matter. They're trying to rebuild America into a system that looks free on paper, but functions like a modern plantation, where your work is necessary, but your freedom is optional, where your voice is legal, but your influence is erased. That's what this Trump regime won't say out loud. They don't want America to look racist. They just want it to function that way again. They don't want segregation signs. They want segregation through policy like housing and wages and education and even access to the truth. See, every machine needs two things, right? Power and control. And Black America has always been the power. That's why they fight so hard for the control. They can't risk us realizing how valuable we are, because if we ever moved in unity, this whole engine would have to be rebuilt from the ground up. But here's the part that they have not calculated for. We're not just workers in this machine anymore. We're becoming engineers. We're creating our own businesses. We're building our own schools. We're mastering technology and globally connecting to Africa and the diaspora. We're learning how the system works so we can build one that works for us. And let me tell you something else. If America ever tries to run without us, without our creativity, our moral compass, our spirit, it'll run loud, but it won't go anywhere. Because without the people who built it, the machine breaks down. So my message is simple. Don't fear Project 2025. Understand it. Because once you understand how this machine operates, you can stop being a cog and start being a creator. You can stop asking to be accepted and start designing your own future. Because the truth is, America needs us far more than we need it. And when that realization becomes collective, when we all start moving like we know our value, no president, no project, no policy can stop what's coming next.
To all the white people who say, if it wasn't for colonization, we wouldn't have technology, you wouldn't have this phone right now, you wouldn't be on the internet right now, etc., etc. One, not true. There was plenty of technology and mathematical and health and so many advancements prior to colonization, and all the Europeans saying, oh my God, this is so cool, I'm gonna burn it all down because I didn't make it. Just besides all of that, I would rather not have this phone, not have internet, not have access to any modern day technology if it would mean that my ancestors were not enslaved. I had the community that I was supposed to be born into. I was on the homeland that my ancestors came from. I had access to the cultural, spiritual traditions and customs that my ancestors took part of. I had access to the language that my ancestors took part of. I had access to the community that my ancestors were a part of. I do not want this shit. I do not care for this shit. I am not grateful, and I will never be grateful that my ancestors were enslaved. So you can take all of that and shove it up your ass. Thanks. Goodbye.
There's no boycott, economic blackout, or strike that's ever gonna work without the Black community showing up. We are the number one consumers in this country. We are the majority holders of the jobs that run this place. Part of our oppression is keeping us in these diabolical low-waged positions. A part of our oppression is keeping us in these jobs that are going to be taxed the highest rates. And unless Black Americans join in, there's no way we will ever get any movement to work. Black America, I am calling out to you because I know without you, we won't win this battle. A revolution will never happen without Black Americans joining in. And everything that is going on right now is detrimental to our community. I know you've heard about the People's Sick Day. I know you've seen it come across your FYP. So why haven't you joined us yet? You know this won't work without you. And if we don't do this, our children will suffer the worst fate of this in the end. These jobs we hate, they'll hate them more. These loans we can't get, they'll get less of. These schools they underfund will be more underfunded. Without our efforts, there's no way we will fix this, and our children will suffer the consequences of it the most.
America has no culture. That's why it's greedy. That's why it's by itself. That's why it's hated. It has no culture. Everyone that comes here comes for one reason: greed. It's the only reason they come here, and they leave everything behind. Everything. Their land, their culture, their family, their relations. It's pathetic. We're prisoners of war. Legally, that's what they won't tell you that. But in order for them to continually violate their constitution and their treaties with us, we have to be prisoners of war. Okay? So the whole idea of what Guantanamo and Bagram comes from Indian reservations, just like the Nazi, what Hitler called the labor camps. He wrote, the United States of America has a great idea. Apartheid in South Africa, that came here. The West Bank, the whole strategy of the Israelis comes from America, because it's an outlaw country. It always has been an outlaw country. It's evil to its own people, and they don't see it.
If you really think about it, bruh, it's our world and everybody's just living in it. Everybody always talk about, oh, black Americans have main character complex or main character syndrome. Maybe it's because y'all think we're the main characters. So y'all treat us like the main characters. So we feel like the main characters because we are the main characters now. You know what I mean? Somebody's always hating on us, hating on our shit, talking about us. Somebody's always showing love to us, as they should, bro. Like our culture, music, fashion, language. Our culture is the most what's it called? It's the most assimilated into. It's the most copied, the most emulated. It's really our world, bro. I'm trying to tell you, the whole world is watching. From the outside of the club, though.
Immigrants did not build America. Slaves and their descendants, black Americans, built America, like quite literally with their hands, okay? Let me explain to you the issue with Shabuzi's Grammy speech. Let me start by saying that immigrants have greatly enriched this country, okay? We would not be where we are without them. However, they did not build America. And I think this is such an important distinction to make during Black History Month, because the comment, immigrants built America, is rooted in the erasure of Black contribution, okay? Specifically, Black American contribution, however involuntary it was. I understand that Shabuzi was coming from a good place when he said that immigrants built this country, but historically and factually, it is incorrect, baby. Chattel slavery built this country, and it is important to recognize that. People don't want to talk about slavery, but the reality is that slavery in the cotton economy is what gave America its legs, baby. There would be no America without slavery. The enrichment that is immigration did not come until significantly after slavery, right? Slavery dates back to the 1600s, girl, okay? All the way until 1865, where we get the Emancipation Proclamation. And even after this point, there were some Black people who were still being held captive as slaves because they just didn't get the news yet, girl, okay? So when you think about that, how long slavery spanned, okay? And the fact that we get ushered into Reconstruction and Jim Crow, and slaves are now repurposed as sharecroppers, right? Or repurposed into roles in which they are only good for service. They are only good for, functional positions that help prop up the country, not actual careers, not anything actually profitable. Like literally, Black people simply migrated from slavery into something else until we get into the civil rights era. For the people who think that we're arguing semantics, not only is this an important distinction to make so that we are recounting American history and Black history accurately, but also because the suppression of Black history, the erasure of Black history, okay, is what leads to the repetition of these atrocities, not on black bodies, but onto others. And this idea that black history and American history, when it repeats, that it's going to repeat with the same people, it does not. It does not. And I think we're seeing a little bit of the proof, but that will never, ever, ever change the fact that the biggest and greatest group affected by American history, affected by the American plight, and that actually built America is Black American descendants of slaves.
America doesn't exist without Black Americans.
That's just facts. Built this whole damn country for free. Every brick, every rail, every road laid with blood and sweat that never got a paycheck. And what did they get in return? Chains, whips, red lines, nooses, Jim Crow, COINTELPRO, prisons, knees on necks, bullets in backs. Ain't no other group forced to love a country that hates them like this. That's strength. That's America. 400 years of free labor built the economy. Cotton alone was worth $3 billion in 1860. That is trillions today. Wall Street, founded on slave trade. The White House, built by enslaved hands. Every dollar ever printed got black labor backed into it. But tell a racist that and they act like it's a history opinion. They fought in every war. Crispus Attucks bled first for this country in 1770. Black soldiers saved America in the Civil War. Hell, World War II fought Hitler while getting lynched at home. Vietnam drafted in disproportionate numbers. The thanks they got: GI Bills blocked, housing loans denied, neighborhoods flooded with heroin by their own government. Look it up. And you still got racists yelling, "Go back to Africa," like they ain't the original stolen property. Malcolm X said it best: "We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock landed on us." Ain't that the truth? Black folks got every right to hate this place, but they stay. They fight. They create. They revolutionize. America wouldn't exist without them, and it damn sure would collapse without them.
White people ultimately don't need other races in order to succeed, in order to be ourselves. Absolutely not.
So how do you think America became the greatest economic nation without...
Not through black people.
Oh, it wasn't? It wasn't because of free labor?
Are you talking about slavery?
No, I'm talking about slavery and also what happened after slavery, which Douglas Blackman talked about, slavery by another name. So I'm trying to understand, when you say didn't need it, how do you think America became the greatest economy that it did? How do you think that happened?
Through the genius of Europeans.
How was the genius of Europeans when the fact of the matter is it was actually King Cotton that supplied the economic means for America to do so? And that was a result of free labor from black people.
Look, the whole point here is that who creates these systems? Who creates these business models and businesses?
Slavery was a business model?
Well, yes, it was a business model.
I asked you again, okay? You said we don't need anybody else.
No.
But the reality is, America history proves you wrong. The fact of the matter is, there is no great America. You can't sit here and talk about that greatness without other people making that happen.
MAGA does not want black people to go away, because who would they steal their culture and ideas from? What they want is for us to be second class and subservient citizens, right? Like, they want us to step off the sidewalk if they're walking past. They want us to say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. They want us not to question their conventional wisdom. If they say Christopher Columbus was the greatest explorer of all time, they want us to agree, even though he was going the wrong way. If they say Thomas Jefferson was a great man, they don't want us to bring up Sally Hemings, right? They want us just to shut the fuck up and be second-class citizens. When it comes to immigrants, they want them to be invisible, right? It's not that they mind them being here. It's just too many for their comfort. So when they say make America great again, that's what they mean. A time where black people were silent and subservient, and a time where immigrants were invisible. But I have bad news. We're not going back.
I'll tell you what I understand racism to be. Racism is a behavior system that is organized because white people are a minority on the planet. They are a tiny minority of the world's people. The black, brown, red, and yellow people are the world majority. Not only that, white people are genetic recessive in terms of skin coloration. You see somebody like whose skin is white if they have sexual relations with a black person, the product is colored. And there is the fear of white genetic annihilation. It existed in Europe, it existed in Germany, it exists here today. If we understand the white fear of genetic annihilation, which was why Willie Horton could be used as a very profound symbol by the Republican Party to win its election, then we will understand what is happening to the black male in this society. The black male is the threat to white genetic annihilation. And so he is profoundly attacked in this society. And if we begin to understand that, we understand what happens to the black family. If you remove the father, then the son is wandering around confused, doesn't know what to do, will get together in a gang, and ends up being depressed, getting on drugs, and going to prison. And in the United States, in Washington, D.C., I believe we have the second highest incarceration rate, second only to South Africa. And so in South Africa, you have black men in the work camps, and the women on the Bantu stands, and here we have the black men in prison and the women in the projects, and the male children going unfathered. Now, I say that racism is responsible.
Unpopular opinion, but I think that integration was one of the worst things that could have ever happened to the black community. I think separate but equal would have done just fine, but being integrated with people that hate us was never a good look for our community.
There are not enough white men in America to drive GDP for the next 20 to 30 years. Not enough successful white men. And it's not a racial comment. It's not a political comment. It's just good common sense. It's demographics. Demographics are destiny. It wasn't a attaboy to white people, and it wasn't a diss to black people and brown people. It was a statement of a material mathematical fact that demographics are destiny. And for the first time in history, there's just not enough successful white men to drive gross domestic product for the next 20 or 30 years. If we don't include everybody in this economy, we're going to be, within 20 years, a nation who used to lead the world. We will not be the sole superpower. We'll be speaking Mandarin or Russian or some other language because they want to be us. And we won't be able to grow the economy without including all of God's children. Women, minorities, they're going to be a majority of this country within 10 years. And my rich friends need my poor friends to do better, if only to stay rich. Like literally, for the first time, we're all in this thing together because 70% of GDP, gross domestic product, is consumer spending. And there's all this discussion about, merit. Yeah, look, nobody's going to succeed long term unless you're smart. All right, you can get a break, but if you're dumb, you can't do the job, you're out, right? Capitalism's a gladiator sport. You don't survive unless you're good. But also, relationship capital is a real thing. If you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th. I see all the time the benefits of having the right class involvement, class structure, social environment. How many times somebody get a job because they caddied for somebody, or their father, knew the right person. They made a phone call for them, or you went to the right school, you went to Harvard or Yale or whatever, and you became buddies with somebody, became the CEO, and you became the CFO because you're an average student, but you knew the guy. And that's not racism. It is discrimination. You discriminate against somebody else to hire somebody that you like. By the way, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's an is. That's the way the world works in many ways. It should never be racism based. But people make choices and they discriminate as they're making discriminating choices, right? And what I'm saying is that those choices have to increasingly have a lens that opens up that says, there's probably a Steve Jobs in the hood. You know that NASCAR came from moonshine running, by the way, in the Appalachian Mountains? By the way, that's literally true. It was poor, struggling whites who were running from the police. They realized that was not going to work. So they realized they were great race car drivers. And so they focused on what they could do well. They were ostracized from society. They were dismissed as important. And now those same families are worth hundreds of millions of dollars 4 or 5 generations later, and are highly respected in society now. That's NASCAR. Well, don't you think that there is brilliant talent in every inner city and low wealth neighborhood or so-called poor group or left behind group? This country is all about going from the bottom to the top. That's my book, my 5th book, Up From Nothing. And I believe with the right tools and the right laddering effect, we can grow GDP 3, 5, 10% more than what it is right now annually. And that is the goal, is we're better together. And that's what I believe. That's what this piece says. And I dare anybody to give me math that competes with this. I have no idea, if we don't embrace this, how this country continues to lead. We can have a debate all we want. There's just not enough white.
After watching that, here's something I think almost everyone should be able to agree on. Whether you're conservative, liberal, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, it is impossible to tell the story of America without talking about Black Americans. That's not politics, that's history. Let's start with the economy. One thing historians broadly agree on is that enslaved Africans were forced to produce enormous wealth through crops like cotton and tobacco. Cotton became one of America's most valuable exports in the 1800s, earning the nickname King Cotton. The people doing that labor weren't volunteering, they were enslaved. That wealth didn't stay on plantations. It flowed into banks, shipping companies, insurance businesses, textile factories, and international trade. That doesn't mean enslaved labor built America by itself. Many different groups contributed to the country's development. But it's also inaccurate to pretend that slavery wasn't a major engine of early American economic growth. Then slavery ended. Did Black Americans disappear? No. They kept shaping America in different ways. Look at music: blues, jazz, gospel, soul, R&B, hip-hop. Rock and roll has deep roots in Black musical traditions, even though many artists from the different backgrounds helped popularize the genre over time. Today, American music dominates the world. That influence didn't happen by accident. Then look at sports: basketball, football, track and field, boxing. Some of America's biggest sports icons are Black athletes whose talent helped make American sports global entertainment. Hollywood, comedy, fashion, dance, social media trends. How many times have we watched something become popular in Black communities before the rest of the world adopts it? It happens over and over and over again. Now, let's talk about civil rights. The civil rights movement wasn't just about helping Black Americans. Its victories strengthened voting rights and equal protections that benefited millions of Americans from many different backgrounds. That's part of American history, too. Now, this video also makes some very big claims. For example, statements about certain historical figures, ancient civilizations, biological superiority, or race-based theories should be approached carefully. Some of those claims are disputed, oversimplified, or not supported by mainstream historical scholarship. It's important to celebrate Black history without replacing one myth with another, because the real history is already powerful enough. You don't have to exaggerate what Black Americans contributed. The documented achievements are already extraordinary. And here's something I find interesting. Whenever conversations about Black history happen, some people immediately become defensive. Why? Acknowledging someone's contribution doesn't erase anyone else's contribution. History isn't a competition. Recognizing the role of Black Americans doesn't mean Europeans, Native Americans, immigrants from Asia, or Latino communities didn't also shape America. Multiple things can be true at the same time. America became what it is because many groups contributed. But if you remove Black Americans from that story, the country would look completely different. Its economy, its music, its culture, its sports, its politics, even the image America sells to the rest of the world. Whether people like admitting that or not, that's a conversation worth having. So, what do you think? If Black Americans had never existed, would America still have become the global superpower it is today? Or do you think the country's success would have happened anyway, just differently? Keep it respectful in the comments. Attack ideas, not people. If you enjoyed this reaction and want more conversations about history, culture, and current events, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.